Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on May 27th. I came out well. Journey continues today on May 27th, 2023 at approximately 2:40 p.m. PST. Now, to say the least, this is a little bit impromptu, but due to family obligations and graduation ceremonies for my son, well, the graduation walk anyway. Last couple of days have been a little on the hectic side. So I figured, what the heck, I'd drop in here and just let people know I'm still breathing. I haven't forgotten anything. And I do have a couple of things on the go here. Kimberly, how you doing? You are in with the gold. I am making it, as it were, official. As of June 17th, I will be putting out a newsletter and it will be 100% free because it's going under my advertising costs. Okay. Well, there you go. Well, it's a little early, but hey, what the heck? Happy early birthday for you and to you. Yeah, you're a day or two behind me. I just hit that last week sometime. No, 2 weeks ago. Emmy, how you doing? You're in with the silver. And I'm doing well enough. It's just been really hectic the last couple of weeks with the end of school for my youngest son and getting him sorted around on disability, and of course me striving to get my stuff in order. But I tell you, I was supposed to be, I got essentially forced into early retirement because they closed the company I was working for. And I looked at it and went, I've got to change directions. There's a company in town. I approached them about training, and they went, we can absolutely help you. But she goes, I suggest you go through Work BC because then you can continue collecting EI. Well, the kicker is the Work BC, I went to talk to them. I went, look, I've got this all lined up. They've already agreed. And Work BC, which is a government agency, amazingly turned around and goes, we don't encourage people to change career lines doing this. I'm like, I am done with the career line I've been doing. Now, don't get me wrong. I will do consulting on my own terms, but I'm not going to work for another company. I've got my own outlook I'm looking at. Sagittarius Dad, how you doing? Glad you could join us. You are in with the bronze. And Joe, that brings you in right hot behind Sagittarius with the honorable mention. So, am I going to be continuing with private consulting for businesses and personal? The answer is yes, I am. I'm just not planning on going to work for another company. I'm pushing for my early retirement and be done with it. Which some people would say that's a bad idea. I look at it going, it really isn't. See, here's the neat thing. If things go well within the year, my brother's estate comes clear, I end up with about 100 grand in my hand. And 4 years down the road, something else I was helping somebody else with nets me another 40 grand back. So I'm not going to be living high on the hog, but I am going to do things my way. Dogface, how you doing? Glad you could join us. You know, things have been, to say the least, a little hectic, but at the same time, the newsletter, where are we? I need this file. Needless to say, I've got way too many things on the go, which is plain normal for me, I think. That's recycling, so it goes there. And we go to this. Now, do understand the news. I said it's a newsletter, and it will be for the time being. The neat part about it is, to start with, it'll be a newsletter. I don't know how many pages it'll be I'm thinking it'll be up to 4, maybe 6, but it will eventually become a global magazine at the same time. I just have to get things put in place properly to start with. Where are we here? So put that out of the way. I did end up turning around, and yesterday here I am. I don't have a viable income to speak of, although EI finally got sorted out, and I now have that coming in solid. And with that coming in solid, not only am I making headway, but I've also got investments that I know won't lose money, because every time I've gotten into an investment, as in RSPs, mutual funds, doesn't matter. Without exception for me, I've guided other people through them, they've made money. I've done it myself, I lose money without exception. Okay, so I've decided I'm going to sink money into GICs and be done with it. You know, but that's because of the fact I gotta do something to make things work. Now, if you guys have any idea or any topic that you would like, either whether we're talking about live here, okay, or you're talking about something to add to the newsletter, which will become a magazine in time. Okay, it's only the newsletter is only going to be coming out once a month. Okay, so that's just the way it's going to go. And I've already decided it will be coming out on. There we go. We are back. It's technology. Anyway, whether we are talking hard copy or we are talking email, doesn't matter. All I require from you guys, if you desire a copy, okay, all I'm going to require is an email address for soft copy, a physical address for hard copy. Either way, it's going to stay free. The reason being, I'm running it through as part of my advertising budget, because I'm not relying on the mainstream. Mainstream for me has proven to be completely pointless and totally out of functional use. But let us get something organized here. I'm not going very far. Grab that. That can go there, and I require this. Oh, did I? I did. Bonus. I did remember to bring my board with me. Kind of an annoying thing in a way, but what the heck. So, in order to make sure I've got things, again, this really boils down to making sure everything is organized. So, pretty much Sagittarius. Every time I have tried to work with them, okay, or tried to work with somebody claiming to be from them, I've had way too many complications. So, what's happening is this. I'm building the newsletter. It will become a magazine. It will become a magazine in time. Still 100% free, because it's what's going through my advertising budget is being used to run it. Now, here's the neat little part about it in my eyes. I am taking Inner Voice and going to be pushing the issue of turning it into a full publishing company. Needless to say, the magazine fits right into that ballpark. Christine, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Now let's see. We have the hard copy notes for it. The magazine, by the way, I ran it a number of years back, so I'm just re-kicking it into gear. Some of the articles that are going to be in the first one, and this is what I was saying, if you've got an idea for a topic you'd like me to put some writing in, it won't be great big extensive, but whether it's going to be in the newsletter or live, that's up to you guys. And remember, if you've got a question that comes up, even if it does not apply to the particular topic we're discussing at the time, just put it at least partially in all caps so I can find it. Not a problem, Christine. I actually only got on 5 minutes ago. 7 minutes to 7. I came on at 2:45, I think. How long we've been running? We've been running for 10 minutes, so it's really not that big of a run. But yeah, we've got, what's this? The Birth of an Empire. This is the one article is really how things started with Inner Voice. Then I've got what does the future hold? We're going to take a look at some of what is coming up. Okay. Because, well, the reality is things are changing, and it's literally up to us to make it change properly or change effectively. Then I've got this neat little blurb on the pros and cons of clutter. And yes, there is a pro to clutter, which may sound bizarre. And then we've got this one. What is this? Oh, yes. Aliens, things to consider. These all have to be moved to hard, because this is all obviously hard copy. I've got to move it over to soft copy to be able to do something with it. And I did work out, and you'll love this part. Well, maybe you won't. But I decided that since everybody has to pay for advertising, I figured out a way to track and pay for word of mouth. And that's going to be a neat little thing to implement. Now, what is that? That one we do not require. Well, let's put these where they belong. In this funny little file folder so I can get them moved. Where are we? Give me half a second. I might be able to answer that. Joe's just asking when the sun sets where I am. Let's see here. I think this phone will actually tell me that, because I really don't personally know. There we go. Sunset is listed today at 8:52 p.m. local time. Now, we're on the Pacific Coast, so you get to figure out what that is for where you are. But it'll be almost 9 o'clock when the sun sets. Of course, that means you get about an hour before that where it's your dusk. So, curiosity, Kimberly, my apologies. Curiosity, Christine, you're hitting 60. Are you planning on early retirement, or are you still planning on working for a while? Just a nosy thing on my part. What do we got here? Somebody contacted me on another venue here. Where are we? Like I said, this was very much an impromptu thing on my part. Oh, got a chap here. Because bear in mind, my Facebook is open up here. So I've got a guy coming in. I figured, what the heck? It's here. If somebody pops in that requires an answer to something, I will simply tag it off. Okay. Just because of the fact that, well, I can. What he's done is that he's tapping into other people's dreams uncontrolled and wants to know what to do with it. Ouch. Yeah, Christine's just saying, she goes, I'll be working until the day I die, unfortunately. The company I work for, does not have a pension. Well, that is unfortunate. I would have kept working, and I'm going to keep working as far as I go. I'm just done playing the game with government and what have you. With government EI and what have you. When I went in to get assistance, and they turned around and said, "Oh, we don't want you changing career lines." It's like, well, you can want what you want. I'm not playing that game. Well, so this little chap. Okay, in this case, Karma is not a concern. Let's see. How about if we pull that up over where I can see it? It's probably there. There we go. Um, well, I found out something really neat there, Christine. Apparently, like somebody I know was talking to one of the adjusters there, and apparently they get a bonus for every person they turn down. Now, that's only hearsay from my standpoint, but it certainly wouldn't be a shock. Adam, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Hopefully things are safe on your end. And Lacey B, welcome aboard. Yeah, I just kind of on a whim decided to come in here, which is why things are a little haphazard. Mind you, I find they're usually a little haphazard. Okay, where does this come from? That is today. Okay. Nope. Yeah, that's terrible. I'm looking at my waistline here. Not something to write nice things home about. I mean, I'm in better shape than I've been in oh, I don't know, 40 years now? Depends. No, but at least 25 to 30. And I will continue pushing that. Oh, it's been really hectic for me, Adam. I mean, the last couple of weeks, I've been dealing a lot with my son's upcoming graduation. And of course, the fact I was still fighting with EI. Finally got that worked out. So now I've got some money coming in. Yeah, I grew up a quarter mile from Falchuck there, Sagittarius. I grew up in Comox, BC, and we'd walk a quarter mile and we'd be right on the ocean. You know, I don't get to see a lot. Well, I guess in all fairness, if I raised my blinds at night, I'd actually be able to see something. But I pulled away so much from the mainstream that it's kind of weird when you think about it. I'm getting ready now, and now, especially now that I've announced it. What do we got, Henry? How we doing? Appreciate that, Henry. No, we weren't ill. We were just very, very busy. My son's graduation, he just went through the grad walk, so that worked out well. I guess he had a little bit of trouble with it, not a little bit of trouble, but he was a little disappointed with the organization of it. But once they got to the prom itself, it does seem he had a whole lot of fun, and thankfully, no alcohol. Because I'll tell you, the alcoholic content can be a real painkiller. It can really cause its own problems. Well, thank you very much, Christine. Yo, so now what I'm doing is I've got the newsletter coming up. I've got, um, I'm working on Scratch That Thought. Believing your finances and follow your dreams is about 3/4 done being written. Right. I haven't talked to my printer. My printer is actually the one designing the books for the Believe in Your series. Oh, okay. So this will be the third one in the series coming out. I'm still working on the other ones. I'll be doing the editing this week. We start serious editing on the final pages of the Races of the Worlds. I'd love to, I've done it before where I've said, "Oh, we're expecting it out on this date." Scrap that. We're getting it out as soon as we can. Okay, but at least we've got all the pictures in. I've got 4 other names I've got to get moved over to my artist in Texas, the one working on Races of the Worlds. And as soon as we get those done, then we can start on the other stuff. Because as soon as we're done that set, we start working on volume 2. You know, so I mean, there's a lot going on. Now, before anybody, well, somebody's already probably thought about it. I've already laid out the growth curve for, matter of fact, what I do with it. I laid out the growth curve for profit sharing. And people have asked me, well, are you putting a board of directors together? Not a snowball's prayer the way it's laid out this way. I will end up with a board of advisors at some point, but for the moment, not going to happen. Where is what it was worth? Not bad. Those are articles I was looking at. That. Need that over there. Okay. Give you an idea. Now, this is a very small company right now. Like there's me and my executive assistant that are working on it right now. And here's the neat thing. I've already laid it out where as this company grows, I've already got it set up to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 different departments. 7 different departments that I've already worked the profit sharing line into. Oh, okay. Whereby I'll actually, after I look at profit sharing, I'll be looking at, where are we? 10, 15, 30. At 96% of my profit will be going to profit sharing, meaning the company itself, out of all it earns, only 6% is actually coming in. And only 6% is actually coming in listed as straight growth. Okay. Now, then do understand there are extenuating circumstances under that. But I've split it off where it literally 94% of the income that comes in from anything that gets sold. What do we got here? Joe's just going, I went fishing again today and yesterday. It's nice and hot out here. I got a lot of sun, but of course today my back was killing me. Took ibuprofen when I got home with coffee. Had to. So much better than ibuprofen with alcohol. But um just a thought there, Joe. There is like I take a medication called back and muscle relaxant. Okay, that also uses acetaminophen. But the important part is the stuff I use has something called amoxicillin in it. And for me, it works like an absolute charm as painkiller. Yeah, I had fish and chips yesterday for supper. Tonight, I'm thinking did I pick up anything there? No, because that's where I went. Okay, something just crossed my path. Give me 10 seconds. I will be right back because I just thought about it and can't afford to leave it. Just, just dawned on me that I had bought imitation crab and shrimp, and I didn't recall whether I put in the fridge. And that is one thing you don't want to leave on the counter. But no, fortunately, it was already in the fridge. Now I'm not somebody you want to write nice things home about regarding cooking. I haven't killed my son yet, but I am not what we call a good cook. Today is the 27th. Yeah, I actually ended up getting, where are we? Look, there we go. As it turns out, last night I actually slept for almost 7 hours straight, which is weird. Okay, usually, like, that's 2 days sleep for me. But at this point, I'm looking at the issue that I've got, that I've got all these different projects on the go, but now it's time to start pushing the limits and making them happen. Okay, so yes, I have got, one thing I will tell you about the newsletter that I'm putting together is that it will not have, it's not going, I'm not taking it and putting a whole pile of advertising in it. I will eventually sell advertising for it. Okay, but that said, I have a very specific ratio. Okay. Right now I'm looking at best, the worst I'll go to ever is is on one sheet of paper that size. Okay. Well, I shouldn't say one sheet of paper, but on one side having a having one business card sized ad, whether it's for something I'm advertising or something I sell, that remains to be seen. Okay. But in either event, I will only be going to a maximum of one business card per page. Okay. None of this idea of, oh, here's a full sheet of ads. Not going to happen. Okay. Because in my opinion, if I'm putting out a newsletter, I'm not interested in putting out a whole pile of here's a bunch of ads. I've seen too many newsletters that have done that. Okay. But if you guys have any suggestions regarding what to put in the newsletter or what topics to discuss here, okay, absolutely, I'm all ears. I may not implement everything, but I will be doing what I can to at least broaden my scope a little. I'm just thinking here, Sagittarius, there's one guy in town here that makes a clam chowder that is just incredible. And I've never, like, since my uncle died, I have not tasted a clam chowder this good. Unfortunately, getting the recipe off the guy may be a bit of an issue, but I'm certainly not about to turn around and try and open a restaurant. Not going to happen. Because from my standpoint, well, in all fairness, Sagittarius, much as I know where to get bread bowls, I won't be bothering with that. No, he actually makes the clam chowder in an actual, like, he serves it in an actual bowl. Yeah. And Joe's going, yesterday I went fishing over at sister's house. I casted the second time off the shoreline. Seriously thought I had a huge fish on. I was using Daredevil lure. You know, how big a fish did you manage to pull in? Tell you the biggest one I ever pulled. I was fishing bullhead off the coast of King Coho on the island, and you know, I thought I caught a real fighter. I did. I pulled the bullhead up and never did see the bullhead because it had a 3-foot hammerhead attached to it. I just looked at him, went and cut the line, and went, "Hook's gone. I'm not getting that hook back." But it was they're a fascinating, fascinating creature. There's no question there. Now, here's a bizarre idea. I've had so much encouragement from you guys, which is why I've started pushing the limits and started to develop things. And I will tell you, there's a couple of topics I'm still not going to tangle with much where it comes to whether it's here or whether it's on the newsletter. Hey Derek, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Kind of impromptu run today. But I figured from my standpoint, I was going to see what I could start making happen. Oh, there we go. Yeah, Sagittarius just saying, yeah, breaded red snapper cooked in a wok. I've always liked the flavor that comes out of a wok when somebody else cooks it. We cooks with it. I tried cooking with a wok, didn't work that well. Okay, but I've always said I do not cook well. I figure if it ain't moving when I got done with it, when I get done cooking it, and it's not burned black, we're in pretty good shape. But I have been pushing limits a little lately, striving to get that under control as well. But where am I? Next week, what is this? Yeah, tomorrow's Sunday, so I'll be on tomorrow night. Yes, I haven't decided whether I'm gonna run straight through here. It depends on what my throat looks like. But I mean, realistically, I've only been on here for half an hour at this point. But what do we got? Yeah, I've seen something. I mean, I saw a video the other day. My son showed it to me on YouTube. It was this one. I have no idea what her name was, but it was this older. I think she's English, but a really senior English woman, and she goes through all these cooking shows herself cooking, and I'm like, I can cook that poorly. So I'm not doing that to you guys. I love the scene that gets where Captain Man in what is it now? Infinity War. No, in Endgame. When Captain America comes into the room, takes a look at the Black Widow and goes, "I'd offer to cook you dinner, but you look like you're suffering enough." In my case, that works out the same way. Joe's going, I should lay on the grass and pull the pole with oh, nice. Yeah, that's what when you have to dig your heels in for anchoring, that's a bit of a challenge. Now there's an interesting Sagittarius, I love this stream for one reason. It's got nothing to do with me in one sense, but Sagittarius just going, Chilean sea bass was formerly called Patagonian toothfish. Okay. But I would find if you've got to dig your heels into the ground to reel a fish in, you've got yourself a decent fighter of a fish. I only ever did fish for king coho off the island when I was a kid, off the coast. Right. I never did get into heavy duty fishing, primarily because I found it hard to kill a fish. With bullhead, it was catch and release, which, yes, is still, in my eyes today, a very cruel way of doing things. At the time, I was like 8 and 9 years old, so, that might put it in perspective when I said the hammerhead had a 3-foot head on it, right? That puts it in perspective when you realize that head was wider than my shoulders were. Because I was no I mean, heck, I'm not a big kid now. Matter of fact, I don't even know what my shoulder breadth is at this point. But what do I got here? Let's just mark this off so I know what I did. Actually, it was kind of a weird setup coming online today. There we go. Derek's going. Oh, there we are. Sagittarius goes. I like Dover sole. Haven't had it in a while. I know when I was on the coast, we had flounder one day, quite by accident, but hey, what the heck, it worked out. And rest assured, my dad was the one that cooked that, not me. But Derek's just going. Cobia is the strongest fighting fish I ever caught. Caught him in Chesapeake Bay. Yeah, I don't even know if I've ever seen a cobia, but the reality of it is some of these things, some of these fish, and, I got no problem with people fishing. As a matter of fact, people that fish or hunt, I wish I knew people that did it directly because I'd rather have fresh fish or well, in all fairness, fresh game would be the better option. That's where I ran into the problem, Emmy. Emmy's just going, I quit fishing when I was a kid. I couldn't stand to kill the fish. I tried killing one fish, and I forget what the heck it was called, but it was about yay long, and it was the hardest thing for me to do was actually kill it. And so I just said, no, forget it. Derek's going, they can say, referring to where is it here? The, what are they? The cobia, referring to them, the, they can seriously hurt you if you're not careful. I'm guessing because he says takes whips galore. I'm guessing that means he's got a tail striker. Nice goal, Joe. I have no doubt you'll be able to do that without any real hassle. Joe says my main goal right now is to go offshore fishing, catch a lot of big fish, and learn how to fillet them properly. I'm sure there's YouTube videos on that. I want to fish with my dad. I think that's a fantastic goal. You know, I don't want to fish with my dad anymore. Of course, my dad died, so that might explain that. Oh, no need to apologize there, Derek. Yo, the way I figure it, technology will glitch quite consistently. The fact that my computer is working decently right now is an absolute bonus. What have I got here? That's all the stuff I'm working on today. Yeah, this was kind of an impromptu thing. Um, yeah, Derek's just going. One of my dad's lessons growing up was if you catch the fish, you're going to clean them and fillet them and then bury them after. I'm guessing he's referring to burying the skeleton afterwards because it doesn't seem functional to bury the meat. Well, that's an interesting way to go fishing. Guess that's better than throwing somebody overboard, which is what you use to fish for sharks. But no, don't do that. That was something a character of mine in gaming did one day. We ended up out on the shore, out on the ocean, and he decided to go fishing. Right. Well, he didn't have anything handy, so he grabbed a buddy of his, wrapped a rope around him, and fired him overboard. The guy was not happy, but he was absolutely livid the second time I did it. But okay, let's call up that little article, make sure I've got it. YouTube video. What's that? Yldrbac book 12, the new series I'm working on. I've got a chunk of the new series to do tonight too. So I should be keeping myself rather busy tonight. Yeah, I'm looking at this going, how in tarnation did I get anything done while I was actually employed? Because now I've just filled my days wall to wall. I had a guy today contact me. He goes, am I cut off from talking to you because I can't get a hold of you? I'm like, no, and bear in mind, the guy in question hasn't paid a plug nickel to me since he come on board to talk to me and talk about some of the reasons why I don't go back on to working for somebody else. That might be an idea. I'm just thinking, Sag. If you think about it, because I agree with you, too many people when they get into a wetsuit, they automatically are targeted by the sharks because the sharks will see them as looking like a seal. But I'm wondering what would happen if the only addition you made to a wetsuit was to put a wide tail on the back end of it. I wonder if that would help protect people from unexpected attacks. I don't rightly know, but they definitely, in my eyes, require some addition to them. I agree with you that making yourself look like dinner is a bad idea. Unless you're planning on being somebody's dinner. Kind of like when I was asked one day, somebody told me they wanted to get abducted by a reptilian just for the experience, but they didn't care which one. And I'm like, that is frankly suicidal in the extreme. Derek, with one I can tell you, the other one he still hasn't moved in. He moves in the next couple of days here. But I'm not anticipating any problems because we've already got his room set up for him. I bought him a brand new bed so that he's got a place to sleep. I already had the room. We just needed the bed. And tomorrow, because I won't be doing it today, probably Monday in all fairness, I'll go out and find a dresser for him. You know, but I'm going to find one that is decent quality. Will not be an IKEA. From my standpoint, they put them together, you're getting what you paid for. So I'm just going to go out and get him a proper one. Now, exactly which one, I don't know. My youngest is on CP. He has mild CP. So he is literally on medical disability. And at this point, he's not actually working. Although he does want to work outside. The eldest one is a cook, but he's quitting his full-time job in order to go back to school. And no, I cannot tell you exactly what he's going after. But I think he's going after a psychology degree. Time will tell. Nice, Sagittarius. I'll tell you, if I ever drive a nail straight, I did it by accident. I've tried driving nails before, it doesn't work well. What do we got here? Joe's going, in the old days when we still had our 14-foot base boat, we trolled for northern pike, and they were so huge reeling them in, half the lake was staring at us. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty bad when you're trying to bring in a fish that's bigger than your boat is. Ah, Derek, CP is cerebral palsy. His left leg and left arm don't work right. Yeah, he could be. As far as I know, he hasn't written anything. I am now in a position where I am starting to push the issue of figuring out how to market my own books, because I figure I've got 7 of them in print, and since nobody that has claimed to be professional has been able to do a thing for me except take my money, I've got to find a way to do the marketing on my own. But I did figure out how to deal with it. So I've been putting minor ads together in order to make that happen. But I will tell you, as a starting point, whoop, need that out of my way before I hurt myself. This one here, okay, this series, the Believe in Your series, they are tiny books. Well, tiny, I mean, they're 20 pages. But the important factor of them, like Believe in Yourself, is literally the backbone of how I change things in my life. I've got 3 in that, well, 2 in that series right now. The third one I'll be tying off this week, and hopefully the artwork for it is ready. But the third one is Believe in Your finances. And then I've got to get back into making sure I push the issue and find out about copyright doing it properly. But I have every intention on making all of this work. I figure I've sat around relying on other people for way, way, way too long. But one thing I do know, the amount of information I've got trapped up here, this is why I'm putting so much on paper. Because the reality is, sooner or later, I'm going to die. Now, the only way I'm going to get this information out is by putting it on paper or putting it on file, on disk. So that's what I'm looking at this point. Nice part is I'm trying to keep it simple. So taking into consideration cost of shipping, cost of production, this is why that's 20 bucks Canadian in your hand. Okay. And that's the one I still operate my own life by. You know, like I've got to work out just exactly how much I was sleeping this month and see where that's sitting. Because again, it feels like I'm sleeping what I consider too much at this point. In all fairness, Derek, it depends. There are 3 answers to that. The first one is, which genre are you looking at? Because I've got children's, self-help, or the science fiction, science fantasy. Okay, the novel that are already in print. And of course, the reference manual. If you're looking for self-help or for if you're looking to gain yourself back on track, your business back on track, your life back on track, that's the first one I would strongly recommend. Okay, that's believe in yourself and follow your dreams. Okay, that is the first one I would recommend because it gives you the backbone to make everything happen. Where it comes to the Yldrbacian Chronicles, buy The Birth of the Wolf Pack first. That's the first one that came into print. Okay. Where it comes to the reference manuals, well, there is only one. And that is Races of the Worlds. Okay. And I've got the pictures. I got 4 more names I'll be turning in today to get the final end on them done, but everything else is done. And then, of course, when we get around to actually putting the poetic anthology together, we'll deal with it. But the children's wise, Mr. Dreamcatcher is the original one that got written. So needless to say, it's the first from that end. And it was written for a 2-year-old. The neat part about it is because I wrote Mr. Dreamcatcher for my 2-year-old son because I got absolutely tired of reading the same stories, the Berenstain Bears, Dr. Seuss, Disney, these things. So I wrote my own. And the thing was, when I wrote Mr. Dreamcatcher, my son was 2 when I first read it to him, and he would not go to bed until about a month before he turned 8, without hearing the story. What prompted it getting written was the fact that I couldn't be home all the time, and my wife at the time needed a copy of it so our son would go to bed. Derek, book 1 is The Birth of the Wolf Pack. That is this one right here. That's the first one in the series. Okay, technically it's the 10th one, but it's the first one that came out in print. So that would be the first one that you want to look at. Problem with it, okay, and I call it a problem not to dissuade you, but the book itself is only $40. Problem is shipping, depending on where it goes, it brings it up to 65. Because there's no way I can afford to just absorb the shipping cost for me yet. In time, I hope to be able to. Eternity, how you doing? Glad you could join us. This was really kind of an impromptu run to come on today. It was just, well, I ended up missing a few days because I didn't have a functional choice. Yeah, it was, it was just a question of I had the time, and I figured, okay, I missed a few days. Thursday is expected. I think I missed Wednesday, but I'm not sure. And I know I missed Friday, but that was because of my son's grad. And as I've always told people, family for me comes first. That's just the way it is. Okay. And it's funny, I told somebody that one day and they looked at me and went, well, you've got responsibilities to you. You've got a responsibility to your listeners. No, I really don't. I have a responsibility to be honest with people. If I desire you guys to be honest with me, I have to remain honest with you. And this is why I say family comes first, just across the board for me. Oh, I really appreciate that there, Derek. With that in mind, oh, that sounds exciting. What are you planning on taking a rocket ship and going look for them? No, just kidding. Um, no, the thing about that, like Derek's just saying he's got where are we here? He goes, I've got a couple of things in the works for our podcast that'll benefit me. And well, he said benefit you. I'm putting together an all-star extraterrestrial team. You know, the one thing that I've always told people, because people get and Dave was good at it to start with. He'd call me, and he still does call me an expert periodically. I am by no means an expert in extraterrestrials. I am a specialist, and I certainly have a background in it, but I'm not a researcher. And the reality of it is, I don't research because what I've found written doesn't mesh with what I've discovered. One day I will get to the point where money is not an issue for me. I don't live high on the hog. The reality is because I don't smoke, I don't drink, and I don't do drugs. The only real expense I've got right now that is what I call entertainment. Like I got up this morning, I was working in the office, and I went, no, I need to take a break. So I went, took my son over to his mom's place, came back, sat down in the restaurant and wrote 2 articles that are going to go into the newsletter. I've only got 1 article left to put there. Oh, perfect. Um, Now the way you've written that, Derek's going, I've got a few people I want to kind of bring onto his podcast regularly, and the money that comes on. Oh, okay. I see what you're getting at. I misread it. He says the money that comes on the day they podcast will be 50-50. That is absolutely fantastic. And quite frankly, guests that you bring on would be foolhardy to say no. I mean, from my standpoint, I'm all for helping other people's podcasts. Don't get me wrong. And this is why I've always said there are topics I will not discuss on this stream, but I got no problem discussing them on somebody else's stream because my outlook on certain things is, shall we politely say, controversial. But the fact that you're willing to share any money that comes in 50-50, I personally think is a fantastic idea. Of course, when you think about that, I did say earlier that with my company, with Inner Voice Enterprises, I am looking at 94%. I think it's 94, 60, 70, 80. Yeah. 2, 3, 4. Yeah. 94% of the net profit will be going back out into profit sharing. Okay. Whether it's profit sharing like, for instance, here's the way this works. Where did I put my book? I put it back, didn't I? Yep. Now, this is already written into my company outline. Okay. Like I said, this book is $40. Okay. Now, because of that, only 10% of the net profit will be going directly into my pocket as an author. Okay. The rest of it will be turned around and distributed to different people contributing, not the least of which is 50%, 5% of the profit from this will be going back to the artist that actually designed this cover. Okay, because he did design, like, he's designed the whole thing. Now, there is that neat little issue I'm going to run into where I will have books that come out that have more than one artist, at which point the 5% will be split equally between however many artists I've got involved. It's just that simple. I absolutely agree with you there, Derek. Derek's just saying, I've got 3 or 4 people on board. Just got to learn the ropes of everything. It'll be fun. We can all help each other spread the experiencers message. I'm going to focus on experiencers. The second conference I ever went to where it came to UFOs was called Experiencers Speak. Now, I haven't gone out to see them again since 2014, I think, was the last time I went out to see them. And I'm not in touch with them much anymore. I've tried, but since I don't get responses from people a lot of the time, I just don't worry about it anymore. I figure if people are looking for me, finding me isn't that hard. And yes, Derek, I don't know if you've noticed this, but I think it was you that made the comment. Let me just take a peek. Trying to figure out where I put it. Go to there, come back into here, into messages. Yep, I was right. Yeah, and I think you've noticed, but I did take your suggestion, Derek, to heart about going back into the notifications and making sure that I respond to the people that are actually putting comments, even if it's a mild thing. I have been doing my best to improve that side of it. I'm still learning the marketing side of it, which is sad when you think I've taken a few companies from barely surviving to actually thriving to the point of retirement. So I mean, from that standpoint, do I know how to get other people to make things work? Yeah. For whatever reason, I think it's a lot to do with my putting things on hold. Where I've put things aside for a little bit. What's ended up happening is I haven't actually done the work I should have been doing. On the other hand, and no, this is not an excuse, I've actually got my office set up now that it's working properly for me, at least in my eyes. But no, the way I figure it, with the reason I've turned a lot of my attention on this stream to how to get yourself moving forward, how to make the best out of your life, is because there is such a thing as being too focused. So I've left a lot. I will answer questions here when they show up about about the other races. Absolutely, I will. There are very few questions I won't answer, and a few of the ones I wouldn't answer before, I got go ahead where if they come up again, I will answer them. But there are certain questions people will go, "Well, I want to answer this," and I'll look at them and go, "That's nice, but you're not getting it." I remember one client phoned me up one day, and they asked where the neighbor got the money for the new boat he just bought. And I looked at him and I said, "Well," I said, "I can tell you this much about it. He didn't get it out of your bank account." "Well, I want to know where he got it." I said, "Well, go down and ask him." "How we doing, football? Glad you could join us." And that particular chap, he looks at me and he goes, "Well, I'm paying you to tell me." I said, "You're paying too much because I'm not going to tell you." And this was when I was working for another company. So I didn't actually hang up on the guy. He hung up on me, something about I wouldn't cooperate. I wouldn't tell him what he wanted to know. Which, when I got asked by my boss, I said, no, I wasn't going to tell him what he did and what he wanted to know. And I'm not about to. You know, Amazingly enough, I didn't get fired by my boss, which was kind of a shock, but a pleasant one, really. The other thing, I should do this because we put that there. I come in here and nope, not that. Yes, that is right. Okay. This is, let's see, copy that. Um, yeah, where are we here? Yeah, Derek, there we go. Derek, this is the email that I work with. Okay, well, paste. This is the email that I work with to get any of the books I deal with. If you're in Canada, email transfer works. If you're not, I work with PayPal. And this particular address is the same one I use to access PayPal. Either one works perfectly. Now, I will tell you, from the time the money clears my account, I give myself 3 business days to get it wrapped and into. Speaking of which, that'll go out on Monday. I give myself 3 business days to package the email or package the book and ship it off. And I know he's not in the room right now, but I just remembered I've got a book that's got to go out, and it's already late going out. But that's okay. I will deal with that. This is one that is actually long overdue, and no, fortunately, it was not actually. Oh yeah, that will make it a lot easier. That's one of the reasons I went to PayPal because I figure, yes, they take some of the money, but they make the job so much easier for me to move it. Okay. Now here's the other kicker, and I'm not going to go into the detail, and this really does apply to you, Derek. It applies to anybody in all fairness, but I track, especially because with books that I've got a very definitive and physical address to ship to. I track word of mouth advertising, which means if you like the book and you turn around and find a couple of other people that desire to actually purchase the book, I keep tabs on that as well. And that's where the profit sharing on word of mouth comes in. Because from my standpoint, if I'm willing to pay advertising for an actual company, then why would I not be willing to pay advertising for somebody that is just doing it because that's not their job? They just said, hey, this was really good. Okay. For me, it just makes sense. But I've worked it out and I've got a whole pile of things on the go, and I'm not going to go into the great detail of it. But as soon as I get finished working on believing your finances and follow your dreams, I will start with the next one because I've got I think I've got a dozen titles already laid out for various different issues. You know, from my standpoint, it boils down to really getting on top of things and making absolutely certain I know how to do it right. Well, I figure, I've spent my life helping make other people money. It's time I actually paid attention and started looking at it going, okay, how can I get all of this information out and handed to the right people? You know, so let me ask you this, guys. I've got Races of the World here. Where is it? I've got Races of the World here. This is the first printing. This one, in case you don't recall, doesn't have any pictures. I mean, you can't read nothing there. Okay, it's set up very much like an encyclopedia, like a reference manual. But I've got the pictures now available. What I haven't decided is which ways. Now that's an excellent question, Christine. I forgot, Derek, you went down to the SOR party, didn't you? I haven't had a chance to look to see if there were any pictures posted yet. Mind you, I'm sure that was a bit of a nightmare as far as being hectic as all get out. I am, however, putting money aside to make sure I can make the next one. I've got to go down this week. I'll get my passport done, and then I can start moving again. Yeah, Derek's just going. We're at Jack's Beach condo, relaxing with kids. Presumably your kids. Yeah, I'm looking at it now where it's got to where I'm going to start moving and start traveling. I don't travel well, but Raven, how you doing? Glad you could join us. The way I figure it, I've spent my entire life doing what I can to make sure other people get ahead, totally disregarding my own finances. All of a sudden, I looked in my bank today, and I kid you not, I've got sitting in my bank to almost 6 months of money sitting there to cover my living expenses, assuming no income. And I'll be danged if I'm going to sit around and do no income. Okay, but I am now looking at the into the retail side of things a little as well. Yeah, Gary's just going, we will never drive cross country again. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I've driven across country. It is exhausting. I will, in spite of my anxiety around travel, I will absolutely take a plane. Well, I'll let the pilot fly. But I'm looking at the whole office setup I've got right now. Yes, I'm looking at 3 different screens. It's weird. Technology and I argue all the time. And yet, I've got one laptop with 3 monitors, and they're all on the go. Not to mention my notes and what have you. But let me ask you this, guys. Where it comes to changing things, I know the traditional things that people go with are t-shirts or coffee cups. What I don't know is if there are other things that people are actually interested in. Oh, of course, with the children's books, I will be looking into stuffies. And by the way, no, I am not going to go the route of let's see if I can get them done for $2. I'm not interested in this issue of let's pay for slave labor. Not interested. Okay. I will go out of town if I have to find somebody that can do it. But, like, where it comes to getting t-shirts done, I know of a company in town here, or at least I knew of one, that deals in embroidered writing on it. So from my standpoint, it'll cost more to get that, but a stitched statement is so much better than an iron-on one. Okay, call me a bit of a dinosaur if you want, or call me all sorts of things. I've been called just about everything under the sun. You know, from my standpoint, it boils down to figuring out, you know, I like the way Steve Jobs did it. He goes, people need this new computer. He turned around and went, here's the computer we need. Then, from what I gathered, when he died, the concept of the company collapsed. And what I'm looking at doing is making absolutely certain that I get everything running properly, hopefully in such a way that some genius doesn't figure out that changing what's working is a good idea. For me, boy, and this is why I said, will I take insight from other people as in an advisor? Absolutely. Now, I've already got two on board. And you'll love this because I am so picky about the people that I go with. My other half is a staggeringly picky editor, right? So I've got you. I work with her as an advisor, and the second best friend I've got in the world. Okay, brilliant mind. He's got an interesting glitch. Now, my other half, my executive assistant, is 100% blind. My second best friend is a clinical paranoid schizophrenic. But these are brilliant people. I'm not going to take a look at somebody and go, oh, you've got this so called disability and we can't work with you. I will, where's my notes? I was just noticing, I just saw what you wrote there, Raven. And I'm just mad because I got to go to the same company. Again, I won't go with Iron On. That's a call on my part. But let us see. We have t-shirts, we have cups, we have caps. Yeah, hats, caps, that sort of thing. Oh, because these are things that people, it's a question of getting them because I'll keep them all in my own stock. I just won't keep staggering numbers of them. I'll just find paying companies that'll do it properly. Yeah, Christine, I drove from now you and Christine says she drove from California to Arizona. I'd have to look. I'm guessing Arizona isn't that far away. From California, I mean. Because I drove from Kelowna, BC to Barrie, Ontario. Well, actually, my apologies. To Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, which was 32 hours straight. And again, no backup for driving. But talk about an exhausting drive. Yep. I did stop a couple of times on the way because I had to, get a bite to eat or go to the washroom, that sort of thing. But yeah, it was 32 hours almost nonstop. At this point, and this is where it gets, and the answer to your question, Joe, where did I put it? Ouch. I haven't gone away. I'm just looking to see what the heck I did with it. And why? Oh, I know where they are. I'll be right. I put it down there. I was just hanging on to it a couple of minutes ago. I have one thing that I do have. They're very limited edition. Okay, I'll be right back so I can show you. Not that. Didn't open the door wide enough. Yep, don't know where I put that one, but it's got to be. Oh, it's probably up front somewhere. But in any event, the answer to your question, Joe's just asking, do you have any merchandise for sale? When I'm looking at this is the actual game, the box, a gaming box of dice for Dungeons and Dragons. But this is the same one that is literally, this is extremely limited. Okay. But on the bottom, you'll see that it's listed. And this one says it's a set 3 of 10. There are only, I think, six others of these left. Okay, but these things are $300. These are handmade. Okay, it's not just the box, by the way, although that's where the real price came out of it. Okay, they are actually handmade, completely handmade, except the dice, which are not. These are actual gaming dice, and they're handmade like that. Okay, and I forget. Honestly, I'm gonna have to take a look at the receipt again and find out what type of wood was used. But there's only about a half a dozen of these left. Ouch! Terracles, your trip was 66 hours total. Oh yeah, round trip. But yeah, that's the one that is there right now. Okay, each one handmade, hand assembled by, quite frankly, a phenomenal woodworker. But that's the only one I've got right now. Of course, anytime somebody picks up a one of the any one of the books, I got bookmarks to go with it. But I will be putting the others together. I've got to go down and talk to the printer and find out what it's going to cost me. As a matter of fact, I was actually trying to make a note of things. Did I write that down there? I did so. I have to go and talk to my printer, and not tomorrow. I gotta wait till Monday because, well, frankly, they're closed on Sunday. Oh, where did my pen go? It's amazing how quickly. No, you can stop. I don't need my alarm to tell me I gotta be awake. Yeah, I've always had that problem. I actually just got it cut the other day in football. I went and got it cut back up over, and the thing was, I got my hair cut back up over the ears, but my son asked me not to remove my beard mustache until after his grad, until after his grad walk. So I told him I wouldn't. However, I will be removing it tonight. Oh, the other thing I will be having very soon, and I just gotta go and talk on Monday to my printer to find out. But I will be selling prints of the different picture and the different alien races. Okay. I don't know if I'll be able to say to get a frame for them to go with it, but I'm going to keep the cost down as low as I can get it. Right. But they will be going up for grabs. Now, why, pray tell? I don't leave the room with my pen in hand very much. At least I didn't think I did. So we go across the room again. You ever notice I spend a lot of time walking back and forth across the room? It's because I keep forgetting what I did with things. Which, oh, there's the pen. Which begs the question of how I get anywhere in life, but what the heck? This thing here. This is why I say you've got to have your office organized if you want things to run. Now, yeah, so the other one that I will have, where are we here? Joe, I believe was, yeah, Joe. The other thing I will have available in the very near future, as in I will get it ordered sometime this week. I will have a number of various prints on order. Now, I'm going to check into the different sizes. So right now I can't tell you the size of the prints that I'll have, but I can tell you I will have various sizes. Now, do understand, I'm going to keep the cost of it as low as I can get away with. JCL, hello, hello. How are ya? Or should we go hello, hello? Depends on whether or not you actually like Christopher Robin. Raven, it's a wonderful thought. Raven's just going, if you want your hair to grow slow your hair to slow down in growth, cut it during a waning moon. Cutting it under a waxing moon accelerates its growth. Honestly, I've never found a difference. I've cut it under a full moon, a new moon, a waning moon, a waxing moon. What I haven't done is cut it under a no moon. I think that's because, well, we don't have a day with a no moon. But no, it's always grown this long. If you look at my original and my earlier videos, my hair used to be all the way down here past my elbow. Right. I actually I guess it'd be about a year ago now, I asked my other half, I said, which do you prefer, long hair or short hair? And she goes, well, I prefer short hair, but it's not a make or break deal. I said, you don't quite understand. I was planning on cutting it anyway. But I said the question was whether you would rather I leave it long. Now the funny part there is my other half cannot see it in any event. But I really wasn't worried about it. I appreciate the input there though, Raven. And is something that somebody listening to the channel later may go, oh, that's how you get to slow down. For me, I just look at it going, I'm not going to worry about how fast it grows because I have come to the conclusion in order to keep it functionally short, I will likely go and get it cut every 6 months at this point. When I was working in hospitality, I had to actually get my hair cut every 2 weeks to keep it short. You know, so I mean, from my standpoint, as you can tell, I've got a fair chunk on the go. You know, if you guys have any ideas on topics, different things I can look at, like I'm quite ready at this point to take my company and go, here's all the options and open as many doors as I can get away with within reason. Okay. Which is why I'm going to be looking into when I go and talk to them about the prints. It'll be okay. Here's a couple of very important prints. Now, let me ask you this. Okay. And this is kind of an important thing from my standpoint because I've got 59 races already written. Okay. But what I need to know is how many, or more to the point, what people's favorites are, what they'd really like prints of. Okay, and yes, I will figure out how to get a catalog together. of the different pictures. Matter of fact, the easiest way to put it is, of course, with the race of the worlds, with the reference manual itself, it'll have the pictures in it. And once that goes out, I'll be able to go, okay, you desire that print? I can do that. You know, I've already got all the legal paperwork in place for it, so that works. You know, but there are so many different ideas that I have to take a look at and go, okay, how do I get these racked off? So, believe in your finances. I will be tying off the major writing of it within the next day or two. And then you give us about a week, week and a half, we'll get the editing done, and then it goes to print. You know, and of course, Race of the Worlds, where that's a little bigger than I was planning on. You know, when I started, it was 54 pages, 64, 59 different races. Well, the thing right now still has 59 races. But when I added the pictures and a little extra information, all of a sudden I ended up with 85. Now, yes, that does mean one thing very important. When I turn around and put it up for grabs, it will be more expensive than the first one, but I said a long time ago, when I first started the reprint, I told people back then that when it comes out, I will simply ship a new copy, the second printing, to anybody that has already got one, given that I've got a physical address to ship it to. Now, this means that yes, it's going to be a more expensive book. I'm not asking for more money for the people I'm shipping it to. If you've already got the book, that's the way it is. Okay. If you don't, then the price will apply. But we'll see what happens. You know, we'll see what happens as far as that goes. But it is one of these things. I have this funny little idea. Man, that has got to throw your thought process right for a loop there, Derek. Yeah, I guess you'd be because um yeah, because you're all over the place. You know, I think in different time zones. Like when I'm talking to my other half, she's down in Utah, so automatically I ship. Yeah, Derek goes, I'm loopy anyways. Yeah. No, she's down in Utah, but because I translate time fast, I talk to her in terms of her time, and yet I can't track how long I've been anywhere. Like the fact that I'm looking at my clock here. I've been on the air now for an hour and 20 minutes. It feels like I've been on here for 5 hours today. But, you know, this was just the way things went. Either I write that down. Wrote something down. Yep. But no, I will be coming up with other things to work with. Yours too, eh? My younger son, he just looks at me and he goes, because we'll be talking and somebody will say something and I'll look at them a little odd and my son will go, Dad, that is supposed to be funny. I'm like, oh. Emmy's asking what is the smallest alien race? That would be, let me just think here. Sure, draw a blank on the name. Where'd my book go? I know exactly which one I'm looking at. I can see it clear as a bell. But what, pray tell, did I do with look? Apparently, I didn't put it back where it belonged. Just pull a complete blank on the name. I always love when I do that. There you go. The smallest one I can tell you right off the bat, well, actually, the Yldrbac is probably the smallest. But functionally speaking, because the Yldrbac and the oh, there are a couple. The Yldrbacs are one of the smallest. Then we have the Umion, okay, which are also just, and they are microscopic in size. Okay, but the Archons are a race that starts off microscopic and grows to be the size of a small planet. Okay, so I mean, we are looking at races that range in size, but the Archon is the one with the greatest growth rate. Even when you look at the Cordon and the Caboran are, well, in essence, they're the same race because the Cordon are your Earth elementals. But when they give birth, you know, when a Caboran gives birth, it gives birth via the Cordon. Okay, it produces a Cordon, and the Cordon then gives birth to, you know, is what wanders around at the same time. And I guess they're not the same race. Let me just think that through for a second. The Caboran will expel the tiny ones. The ones that stay earthbound are what become the Cordon. The ones that actually make it to orbit are what become your adult Caboran. Okay, and there are other races that do the same and the same kind of an idea, but that would be where your smallest ones come from. And you know, somebody I was talking to the other day came up with another idea about possibly with the Race of the Worlds looking at figurines, as in the plastic posables. But that's going to be a bit down the road because for some reason that's going to cost money. And right now, that's something I've got a bit of a hiccup with. But I do have to talk to somebody out there, to one of you guys or somebody else. But this week, I'm making a point of talking to somebody about getting that neat little addition to my podcast, to this stream with Buy Me a Coffee. I've got the site apparently. I just have no idea what to do with it. So that's another one of those neat little projects. You know, it's funny. I came on here I was thinking I'll be on here for a little bit, but apparently we're going to end up running 2 hours. Now, I don't know if I'll be back on tonight. Okay, because I'm going to have to get some of my stuff done. I know that for an absolute certainty. What do I got here? Anything in the way? Probably. Toys. What do we got here? Yeah, the ironic part there, Emmy, is the smallest race, functionally speaking, would be your Archon, but they are also one of the larger races. Okay, when they mature. Needless to say, their growth rate or their reproductive rate is, to say the least, extremely slow. I could not agree. I couldn't agree with you more there, Christine. The best I can suggest is pick one spot of one room. Now, that depends on who you talk to and which way you're talking power. Derek's just asking who's more powerful, the reptilian or the Anunnaki. Now, it really does depend on the particular species. That's what I did with it. Let us just take a real quick the Zotar, I believe. Yeah. See, if we take a look at the reptilian, now understanding the Anunnaki will range anywhere from 15 to 30 feet tall. The Zotar are only 6 inches. Now, the Zotar are a reptilian race, but we can safely say they're not much threat to an Anunnaki. Now, on the other hand, if you take a look at the Sarkon, which you would know as, and which many people would know as the Alpha and the Alpha Draconis, are upwards of 15 feet with high density armor, high density skin, and they fly. Okay. Now, do they end up are they deadly? Yes. But if you take a look at the aura, or not the aura rather, but the Aurora, now you're looking at what you know as dragons, and all of a sudden the Anunnaki have a run for their money. I think that's a fantastic storyline there, Sagittarius. Sagittarius is just going, Sagittarius is going. One of my favorite Twilight Zone episodes is where an astronaut finds a tiny race and basically terrorizes them. And then 2 giant aliens find him and he freaks out. And I mean, I've seen that happen a lot. Or you'll get the real feisty ones, you know, the real feisty little guys that just don't scare. In all fairness, and Derek, I really don't, not that I'm aware of, is bang. Can we have one thought at a time? What do you think? Derek was just going, Keith, does the Balchinian race from Men in Black 2 really exist? Not that I've ever heard of, not that I've ever seen. This doesn't mean they don't, that just means I cannot corroborate it one way or the other. Okay, there are some races, and I'd have to go back and take a look at Men in Black 2. Some of the races are very real. Okay, some of them are a little modified, but as far as I'm aware, I've never even heard reference to the Balchinian race or anything that functionally remotely is patterned after it. I do know ET, as in ET the extraterrestrial, seems to be a stylized version of the Grey. Okay, of the Zeta Reticulans. But I do know that the Zeta Reticulans and the Zeta Reticulan D, which are the ones that are shown on Close Encounters of the Third Kind, I do know they are properly depicted. It's funny. I go through this. I'm looking at these different races, and I get people periodically and going, "Well, where's your proof?" I'm like, give it 30 to 50 years. Until then, you're pretty much on your own. So the only thing I can tell people for certain is when I talk about a race, it's what I know from firsthand, not what I've read about. And the nice part about it, if you take a look in Race of the Worlds, you'll find the Kamalians. Okay, in the Yldrbacian Chronicles, you run into the Kamalians right at the beginning of the birth of the wolf pack. Derek's just adding it. The SOR party, there was a lady next to Dave Scott. She said that there are underground bases and there was one huge reptilian in charge of all the U.S. She's full of it, in my opinion. Okay, number one, this is a wonderful fear-based idea that that some other race is controlling mankind. Now, maybe I'm a complete lunatic, but that goes against everything I've ever heard. Okay, or everything I've ever witnessed. Now, I don't know who this person is, but I will tell you this. There are absolutely And there are absolutely subterranean subterranean bases where I do know for an absolute fact in my eyes that they are occupied by reptilians. But do reptilians control what's going on? No. Sagittarius asking, what race built the statues on Easter Island? In all fairness, I'm pretty certain, and I'm not 100% sure, but they have all the markings of being the Anunnaki. Okay, I can't say for certain, but that is my understanding of it. No, I've actually got that book around here somewhere. I believe, I've got to take another look at them, but I believe football, that yes, they are. Okay, I was looking at them the other day. I actually just came across that book, but it's buried right now. I've been disposing of a lot of things, Oh, came across it and put it aside where it was actually easy to find. Let me take a look at that. Recognize him? The answer is yes. Those guys are very definitely, from my standpoint, very definitely real. Hey, who do we got here? Carnotic. How you doing? Glad you could join us. Carnotic is asking, did methane-based life once inhabit Titan? Once? Technically, the answer to that is yes, but they're still there. Okay, which is why I went once. But yeah, football. The communion aliens are your Greys, your Zeta Reticulan. Okay, Carnotic. There is no question that there's actually, since mankind, and good luck proving this one, mankind has research stations set up on Titan. Okay, they're actually watching what's going on there. Hey, Sports and Stars, how you doing? I'm guessing this is Sports and Stars with Jade, which probably means you're Jade. But that was a fabulous question there, Derek. Nope, sorry, Carnotic. I haven't seen you in here before. No, Carnotic, and I've covered this. I cover this regularly, and it's because new people come in. Everything that exists in the third dimension, everything that you ever see, is third dimensional. It's not on another dimension. It may be vibrating at a slightly higher rate, making it virtually impossible to detect. Okay, but they are still third dimensional. But no, the method, the creature and the entities on Titan. Thank you so much for bringing that to me, for reminding me of that. Because I do have to look into that. It's kind of a weird setup. Like I said, volume two, volume two of Races of the Worlds already has, I think, 59, 40. I think it's got almost 50 races in it already. And I'm still adding to it. I'll get to a point where I don't think I'll put more than 60 in any volume. But when I start putting out the big volumes, then they'll all be included. But I will go and make a point of finding out just exactly who are set up, because it's not a question of did the methane-based people, methane-breathing people, did they ever exist? They're there now. Okay, they've just been there for a while. Uh-oh. Bonus, thank you so much there. Derek's just told us we've got 2 new subscribers. Well, I do think that requires that we hit refresh. Just so we can get the count up. Now, Joe, you asked a question here. What was that? Well, I'm not sure. I didn't see any flash or anything from that end. Yeah, according to my count, I just refreshed my site. Hey, Jimmy Casino, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Hopefully your day has been good, productive, enjoyable, that sort of thing. Yeah, according to I just refreshed YouTube, and it's got 508 at this point. Sagittarius goes, "Are we invisible to other dimensional beings until the portal is open? I'm wondering if they're surprised to see us as we are them." Well, here's the thing. Okay, no, not maybe. When we're talking different dimensional, again, they're all third dimensional. If you can pick them up here at all, they're third dimensional. They do vibrate at different rates, making them invisible. Now, yes, humans do vibrate at a faster rate than some of the races, and thereby some of the other races that are living here, and thereby they are shocked when they see a human, just as shocked as humans are when they see them. Okay, when we see them, because it really boils down to their brain, just like ours, doesn't always wrap around everything going on. Humans are a wonderful race. Dumber than fence posts on occasion, I find, but hey, I see many people that way. You know, and yes, I'm not shy about it. I'm not subtle about it. I've got my own hangups, and the reality of it is that with what I've seen in life, I came to understand I look at the world very differently than most people. But what have we got here? Let's see. Derek's asking, what is the oldest race from Earth living here now, and do they secretly control everything behind the scenes? Well, first question. The oldest race that is still living on Earth, that was literally created on Earth and evolved as a people, is the Elephant race. Okay, we'll start there. They are still here. Now, most of them live in what you call inner Earth. Okay, some people call it Hollow Earth, whatever you want to call it. But the elephant race is the oldest corporeal race still living on Earth. Now there are Zerziks that are floating around. There are Zerziks, there are Brozik. That was the other race I was referring to. That was tiny. Okay, well I drew a blank there a few minutes ago. And I said there was the Zerziks and there's another race very similar. Okay, which is a Rosic, also known as orbs a lot of the time. Okay, now the elephant race is the oldest corporeal race still on the planet, but most of them live in the inner Earth, in what you call inner Earth. They call it home. Now, here's the neat little thing. Do they secretly control everything behind the scenes? Now, I'm going to get flack for this, and somebody's going to turn around and go, well, if it's a secret, you wouldn't know. I can tell you this. We know for an absolute certainty they are not controlling everything, because the way that the elephant empire actually operates, the idiocy that goes on with many of the people with many of the human people on this society, there wouldn't be. Well, there isn't. In the elephant society, there is no life sentence. You're either you're either doing what you should be or you're deceased. There's not a whole lot of mid-range. Okay. Now, they do have people that get locked up and get re-educated and what have you, but not the ones that are deemed dangerous. The ones that are deemed, oh, you're going to death row. Death row is about 15 feet long. Absolutely not, Derek. Derek's just asking, do we believe in do I believe that we live in a simulation? No. Just flat out, there's no room for discussion. There's no way anybody's going to convince me of that one. This is life. Okay, it is not a computer program. It was a great it was a beautiful storyline when The Matrix came out, but that is not the way life is. Not from anything I've come across. And understanding that my memories date back a long time. Okay, and you can do with that what you will. No, I absolutely do not believe that we are in a simulation. Okay, I do know that the modern day computers are based on the way that the human brain works. Sort of a cross between the way the human race works and the way the crystal computers work. It's kind of a neat little combination. But no, we live in a real life environment. Okay, so this is not, oh, I don't like it, let's just change the channel. If this were a simulation, you could hack the simulation and modify it. That ain't the way reality works here. But it's funny, the more like what's happening here. Christine, I couldn't have picked the two better ones. Okay. Christine's just going, which sci-fi movie do you feel that we need to watch about once a year or every few years? And she goes, for me, it's Close Encounters in 2001 Space Odyssey. And I absolutely agree with you on both of those. Okay, they would be the top of the line for me. Close Encounters of a Third Kind is an absolutely perfect rendition of both the Zeta Reticulans and the Zeta Reticulan die. Now, do understand, the Zeta Reticulan die they are the tall grays that you see. You only see one in the background with Close Encounters. Okay, and when you're looking at 2001 Space Odyssey, that ship you see, that rectangular ship that looks bizarre, that is a Korlock ship. And you will never, that is a Korlock ship, and you will never find a human on a Korlock ship, or more to the point, in it. You bring the Korlock ship down on Earth, you can stand on it, but you never get inside. Because you got to remember, the Korlock ships are driven by electromagnetics directly from the Korlock race, because the Korlock race has no bone structure. Essentially, they are sentient amoeba. 160-pound ascension amoeba. But the nice part about it is, I mean, those two movies are phenomenal. The other one that I do strongly recommend is The Abyss. Okay, The Abyss, a lot of what they show you in the deep sea sequence is real. Okay, and I mean, James Cameron is one of those people that knows exactly what's going on. Christine, I really strongly suggest, if you like the other two, I really strongly suggest you watch it. I've seen it a number of times. I can't find it anymore, but I've seen it a number of times. Now, the funny part there, Christine, Hal didn't go wrong. Hal did exactly what a computer will do. Given a logical problem, a computer will do exactly what Hal did. Which is why I caution people, don't turn to AI. AI is a death sentence for the human race. True AI. Now you gotta give them credit. If you watch the Lord of the Rings, okay, there was a neat sequence I found out about, where the Rohirrim were coming down on top of the Orcish horde, and there were only, what I found, from what I gather, There were only 8. I haven't actually seen that one, Derek. There were only 8 actual actors dressed as orcs that were standing there banging their swords and banging their spears on their shields. The rest of it was all CGI. But they programmed the CGI to respond in an intelligent fashion. Now, they did a fantastic job because when the Rohirrim came over the horizon, over the ridge, and started down, the first filming of it, the entirety of the horde, excluding the 8 actors, turned around and booked it. They just ran for the hills, which, by the way, would be a rational thing to do. So they dumbed them down so they'd stick around for the fight. Question for you, Derek. Is Dark City on either Netflix or on Disney? And if so, which one? Because I tell you, finding new movies most of the new movies coming out are, shall we say, poor renditions of an array of a prior thought. What have we got here? So yeah, there is a lot changing, and I will, as things evolve. This is one of the reasons why I came to the conclusion that putting out a newsletter or putting out a magazine is now a necessary maneuver. Okay. Well, and because it's simply going to be run through my advertising budget to see what I can pop there. Carnotic. Carnotic, how about things like replicants? I could see manufacture or design human beings more so the norm. Um, where is it? Oh, the Xenon are a robotic race that literally they do exactly what the replicants do. Okay, they are mechanical, but what they do is they turn around and they take a look at something and make a perfect copy of it. They are not shapeshifters. Okay, unless you hit them with the right biomagnetic field, at which point they fall apart at the seams. I never saw the remake, in all fairness, Sagittarius, but I did enjoy the Invasion of the Body Snatchers. You know, I got a kick out of Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. Not from a realistic standpoint, but it was a hoot. See, there's a lot of things that have ended up on Earth that got here via various forms. The Archon are one of those things that got here via different forms. When you take a look at the Chupacabra, it got here by accident, as in an escape path. No, I just came to the conclusion that with the amount of information, I heard about that one, but I didn't bother looking at it. The lead the blurb I saw about it just didn't catch my attention. Tell you the one that had the biggest effect on me in from and it was back in the 60s actually was the first Dawn of the Dead or Night of the Living Dead. Those ones had real impact. More actually on the guy in the tech in the morgue than did on me, but yeah, and I agree with you, Sagittarius. You'll notice a lot of these science fiction movies are written way back, 20, 30, 40 years ago. Most of them are written back then when people were really pushing limits. In today's world, I'm looking at it going, what they do, run out of options? I just don't see a lot of new thinking. Now, maybe I'm a little dense on that department. But no, the reason that the Night of the Living Dead rings such a big bell on my part is which, and I don't know which one it was that came out first, but when it came out in late '67, early '68, or late '66, early '67, rather. August 1st of '68, I lived that maneuver by walking out of the morgue. I'll tell you, the poor mortician, he may well have had a heart attack. Yeah, I'll tell you, Derek, one of the best ones I ever saw where it came to vampires was a movie called Near Dark. I don't know who wrote the thing, but I do know it's the one vampire movie that they never mention the term vampire. Well, I've been called a lot of things. I mean, that's one of the more polite ones there, Christine. You know, it's funny. I've been called the devil incarnate. There's a lot of things I've been called that I will not repeat because they're just not repeatable in polite company. You know, but no, the neat part about it, when you take a look at some of these movies, you know, I get a kick out of some of them. One of the best horror shows, well, I don't know if it was the best horror show, but it certainly was memorable, is when The Car first came out back in 1980, early 81. You know, I went to a drive-in theater in Kelowna here where that was it was a marathon movie run, and The Car was on 4th and Row, so it was on after midnight. Well, we barely got started, and somebody lit 300 feet of the fence of the movie theater on fire. So we had riot police and everybody down there. To be honest with you, Derek, I don't know even know who Danielle Diva is. But I did know I did actually know I was not him, but I did know Vlad. Nasty piece of work and really not that socially adept. Hey, Las Vegas, didn't see ya. I didn't see you come in. What do we got here? Oh, okay. Yeah, in all fairness, Christine, I don't usually end up watching a lot of Dave shows because the reality is what happens is I get up like this morning I slept in. But most of the time I'm up at like 4 o'clock in the morning. And by about, 10, 11 o'clock, I'm quite often on the horn with my other half. And therefore the radio shows just don't get watched. But, do I know exactly what, did I realize she was related? No. I do know that where it comes to my end, the architect for the Titanic, as in the HMS Titanic that sank, the architect was apparently an ancient ancestor of mine. Okay. Funny part was the architect designed it right. It was the production people that decided to save money, cut corners, and not complete the building of it properly. You know, the neat part about it from my standpoint is I'm watching this world with a very different set of eyes at this point, which is why I said from my end, I started off with this idea of going, okay, we've got all this change taking place, but we have to look at the positive side of what is going on. And just a real quick side note here, but if you like the stream, do give us a thumbs up. Where are we sitting? We've got 16 up and there's 15 in the chat room. This is fantastic in my eyes. You know, where are we? Joe's going, in your opinion, Keith, what's the best paranormal only movie of all time? Of all time, I don't know. I do know that the concept of it, when I watched the original Scanners from, I think they were back in the early 80s. The original Scanners, 1, 2, and 3, I saw, were absolutely well worth it. I mean, it was neat what they were doing. The photography was twisted. Of course, they were trying to make a psychic event appear as though it was happening. So the special effects were a little bit odd. But it was one of the ones I did enjoy. You know, The Matrix was a wonderful run in my opinion. But it was not a real run. It was just simply a good run. By the way, funny part there, and I forget what their race is, but that reminds me. I will go and take a look and find that one. What do we got? I saw the come up. I never did actually go and watch it there, Emmy. Is it worth actually taking a look at, in your opinion? I think that was only about a decade back. Where are we? Derek, I would like to give you. Well, I absolutely appreciate that, Derek, and I have never turned down anybody. I've never turned down financial assistance in any fashion. And and that said, the email is, well, I'll give you the email again anyway. Actually, I think you've already got it. Oh, where'd it go? There it is. We copy that. I really do appreciate that, Derek. The fact of the matter is, like I told my son, you know, we've got to replace his dresser because the one he had just won't fit. So, like I told him, I'm not going to IKEA. It's just not an option in my eyes. I mean, IKEA is great for some people, but I want something that works. I will drop you a line as soon as I get done here. I will absolutely do that, Derek, because there's a couple of things you brought up too. I'd love to connect with you and see what we can work out. The reality of it is, Derek, I do have to ask you, do I actually have your email? I know you've contacted me through YouTube, but what I don't know is if they've got a return email there for it. But you've brought up a couple of things. You've been really, really, really supportive, especially in pointing out things that, from a marketing standpoint, I've been just completely overlooking. At this point, I really have to turn around and open the door and make that happen. Because clearly, hoping that things are going to turn around, well, the government is clearly not going to be assisting. Oh, okay. Like I talked to them today. No, talked to them on either Thursday or Friday and asked them about the whole idea of getting training in marketing. And they turned around and went, "Well, we don't encourage people to change careers." And I'm like, I don't care whether you encourage it. The industry I've been in, I spent 23 years helping people and getting told so often that it was absolutely. Oh, there we go. Amy's just saying the movie was The Human Centipede in 2009. Just making a note of that because, let's face it. Where are we? The Human Centipede. I have to see if I can find that. Luck for me, it's funny, computers are starting to help. But I do have to find a way to slow my brain down on occasion, which I have no clue how to do that. I can tell you this. All the cocaine and all the marijuana I used to do did not slow my brain down. The only thing I ever found that slowed it down is I was up for 40 hours straight. And I looked at my buddy and I went, "Do all people think this slowly?" He goes, "Yeah, pretty much." I looked at him and I says, "I just shot myself a long time ago." You know, because from my standpoint, I just don't, I don't see the point in putting the mind to sleep unless it's causing you problems. Which, I don't know, maybe mine is. What do we got here? Wonder if I've got that. Let us see. Find that one there. Go to that. And then we go to. Okay, well, that didn't work worth a hoot. Let us try the other venue, which is over here. And see, what I'm doing is just looking to see if I've got what I require. There. And we go into there. Oh. Ah, okay. Yeah, Derek, just a point in fact. I've got a way to connect with you through YouTube, but that's the only place I've got an email address for you. Yeah, Amityville, and I'm just looking at this. Sagittarius is going Amityville 2, The Possession is a great paranormal movie. I like the Amityville horror. That's one of those rare places I wouldn't mind going to visit. And actually, from my standpoint, it's like, okay, yeah, it's paranormal, it's got some freaky things going on. But am I worried about it? No, which was what worried my father, was that I didn't fear it at all. Dad told me one day that the thing that worried him most about me was I had absolutely no fear of the paranormal. And I still don't, in all fairness. What do we got going on here? Some of the movies out there, if you watch the way the movie's done, some of them are absolutely phenomenal. But no, after like today is Saturday. Yeah, today's Saturday, so it's gonna end up being Monday. What is Monday? Rope, rope, wrong. Oh, good. Yeah, if I go out Monday, I might just be able to get it. I will go out and buy it. I just cleared another credit card off. See, I've got one credit card that I use for mine that I use for groceries. I just cleared it off again yesterday or the day before. Because I run the money, I put the money on it and then I pay it off, put the money back on it. So it looks like Monday is going to be a very hectic day for me. I've got to look into a few things, but I'm starting to put a list together. So on Monday, Monday morning, I'll get started on doing some pretty serious editing work. And then once I'm done that, I've got a number of places I'll have to go around the city to deal with my son's dresser. You know, and with my son's dresser and the prints I want to find out from my printer about cost of reproduction. See how we can go about that, see what kind of options we've got. By the way, guys, well, Sagittarius, the answer is absolutely not. Primarily because I have no idea where it is, and it isn't inside my apartment block. You know, I don't even know if I've heard of it before. But no. Whereabouts is it there, Sagittarius? Whereabouts is it being Winchester Mystery House? Or is that the one is that the one I heard about that's got all the secret passages and what have you? Ah, yeah, no, I honestly haven't been to California. Well, 8 years ago I was California Airport. You know, I remember going to LAX one day and I got down there and I was talking to one of the flight attendants and she goes, "Where are you heading?" I says, "Well, I'm heading for Portland, Maine." She goes, "Well, what are you doing down here?" So I don't know, this is where the plane stopped. Right. So I literally have flown from California all the way across the states to Portland, Maine. Silly idea in my eyes, but that was where the plane went. The last time I was in Disneyland was in 1977. No, that's not true. 1993, I went to Disneyland. Christine, the answer is yes. I did enjoy. I think Jack Nicholson did a phenomenal job on his portrayal. But yeah, it was a neat little show. Yeah, most of the time, from my understanding, and especially with my brothers and with my older brothers' input, most of the time the books are better than the movie ever was. But the movie itself was absolutely brilliant in my eyes. I'm only just starting to look at the option of travel, and I know my other half and desires to travel. The neat part about it with her is she sees things on such a different level because she's 100% blind, which means she works very much on the auditory and descriptives. It really adds a new dimension to the idea, and quite honestly, she is instrumental in the way I am putting the new information into the races of the world. Because much as I'm putting the pictures in, if you're blind, the pictures don't do you any good. Oh, wild. Yeah, that would be entertaining. Sagittarius is just going. The Winchester House is in California off the 101 near San Jose. It's pretty interesting. Stairs and doors that lead nowhere for the dead killed by Winchester guns. Yeah, Emmy, I did. I watched Needful Things quite a while ago. I don't usually go out of my way to watch horror and suspense movies, but I did end up watching that one. I'll tell you. Where is it? Right there. I've never seen this in a movie. But I'll tell you, that book, that is one freaky book. Okay. The neat little part about that's called The Amulet by Michael McDowell. Now, this is one of those few books I actually did read. But the really important part for me on this one, I enjoyed it so much that in the Yldrbac Chronicles, this book, amongst others, is sitting on the shelf in Casey's office, which is the primary bar and grill. Okay, in the Yldrbac Chronicles. But that's a horror book. You know, and that's a horror story that I read way back in the 70s, it must have been. Yeah, because I was still in school when I read it. But there's one scene in there and the whole premise is literally this amulet that is cursed, and everybody that gets it in their possession murders somebody in a really horrific fashion. Yeah, it's difficult when it comes to Stephen King. You know, my ex really likes Stephen King, but finding a book of his that she hasn't got is tricky to say the least. You know, so there's a lot of things I'm working on. What do we got? I don't know if I think I watched The Stand, but I'm not, in all fairness, I'm not personally much of a reader. Okay. It's just a question from my end of making things happen. You know, like I do read once in a blue moon, but not a whole lot. You know, one of the things I know when it comes to writing, though, is I do my best to get the story started off in a hurry, and then bring in the extra info. Uh-oh. I just noticed on my YouTube channel here, just this funny little title, it says American Idol Deaths. And I don't know who all is involved in it, but probably not good news. Well, I don't need that channel up right now. Just an unnecessary channel to have up. And what do we got here? Well, I'll tell you, I don't know the actor there. Emmy's just saying that Max von Sydow played the devil. He also played Jesus in The Greatest Story Ever Told. You know, and I don't know the actor, but I do remember the story, The Greatest Story Ever Told. Yeah, I mean, obviously, Joe, you know, when we talk about there being lots of movies with cemeteries or in or about them, obviously the most obvious one is Pet Cemetery. And it was a little twisted. Hey Shade, how you doing? Glad you could join us. I'm amazed. I've been on here, what, 2 hours and 20 minutes so far today, which I was not planning on being on here longer than half an hour, I don't think. But I am glad that you dropped in. You know, from this point, what I'm looking at is this. Taking this stream, and you know, I was originally looking at it going, well, first of all, I was looking at it going, it's gonna flop, as it were. You know, here I am, 2.5 years in. Where are we? You know, 2.5 hours in, or 2.5 years in, rather. And, you know, I got looking at it a few months back and went, you know, I get to 1,000 subscribers, and now I can start making a little bit of an income. And then it dawned on me, you know, I listen to people talk about all of these streams out there where, or your television evangelists, where billions of people will stand there and listen to somebody telling you the world's going to end. Okay. And I will agree, the world will end in a few trillion years. Okay. I don't know the calculation. Scientists figured that one out. But let me see if I was looking at something. Well, no, I know I was looking at it. But did not want to do that because that'll screw me up. I just came to the conclusion that, I talk about changing your life and then I know how to go about doing it. And I figured, okay, let's see what we can do about taking this stream and really giving something and giving people an idea of something that they can jump on and move forward with. I mean, I cannot agree with you more, Shade. I don't know about it being the best, but I just love the people in this chat room. I mean, it was funny. I remember a few weeks back, maybe a month or two back, in all fairness, we had one guy jump in, right? We had one guy jump in, and his first comment was, oh, talk about a room full of trolls. Well, dang near everybody jumped on him. Okay, Derek. Yeah, Derek's going, who all is in the chat room? Call. Well, we can safely say I don't know who all's still here. I don't even know how to figure out who all's here. But right now I can see Christine, Joe is in, Emmy's here, Sagittarius is here. Go back up here a little. And football is floating around. She's been popping in and out. And what do we got? Derek. And go back up a little higher. And why are we sitting on top chat? That keeps arguing the point. And obviously, Joe is floating around here. There are a lot of regular people in here. I love it personally. I never honestly figured it was going to go to this point, but I'm quite happy it has. Now what I'd like to see happen is some of your guys' goals, your dreams, really start to come to fruition. Where are we here? Whoop, scroll there. Yeah, and Jimmy. Hey, Jimmy. Yeah, I look at it this way. I'm glad you're still hanging around there, Jimmy. I look at it this way. I know what it says we've got in the chat room, and I get off, I get done the stream, and it tells me, you've had X number of days of viewing already. So I mean, we're looking at hours of viewing. I've only been on today for 2.5 hours, which is kind of amazing that my throat hasn't packed in yet. But I am going to reiterate one little detail as soon as I can get the stuff out of my way so I can see it. You stay there. You can go back on your shelf where you belong. And I take this little sheet and pull it out of the way. And yes, just a quick reminder. On the 21st of June, I will be back on the rabbit hole with Raven at 7 o'clock Pacific. I think it's 7 o'clock Pacific. At 7 p.m. Pacific time. In all fairness, I'm not entirely certain what we're going to be discussing, but but that said, now, much as this is going very well, I may come back on a little later Okay, but I'm gonna have to take a break and get a bite to eat and what have you. So I really want to say thank you so very much for sharing your time with me today. I will do my best to come on a little later tonight, but I gotta take time out and get a bite to eat before I run into troubles. So thank you so much. I do look forward to seeing you guys again. Until then, do take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.